It's time for some more hands-on approach here. And you're watching Creative Redundancy, the one known as CR. So as you could tell here, I have a hole in this mitt. It's knitted. You can see right there. But because it's got a hole in it already, I figured, you know what I'm gonna do? It's multi-layered, so I'm gonna add in some extra insulation in there. Just some scrap material I had, scrap thread, little small pieces that I can't really use for our projects or even to make a patch out of. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna reuse it for something a little bit more constructive here. Okay, now I'm grabbing my sewing needle that already has some of this yarn that I'm using for this to patch this up and stitch it back together, literally and metaphorically. And as a pun too, because I figured I might as well stitch in one in there too. But basically what I'm doing here is making a grid. So I'm not per se using back stitches. You can see it, I'm doing it in a certain way. And I'm always making sure I go over and under. And now I'm making some perpendicular lines to this, making this grid. And every so often I would try to put any of these threads or yarns that are sticking out and nest them or tuck them into the mitt here, into the material here, before I actually tie it all together here. That way it's actually on inside, so all that excess thread or yarn in this case would be on the inside and not sticking out and causing it to fray and all that stuff. And basically just tying it all together here. Now when I was doing this, I kind of snagged it when I was doing this right here. You could see right there, I was just like, oh, and stuff like that. So I'm like, you know what? So I grabbed another sewing needle here with some slash yarn from of the same color, and just kind of went back over this. And again, just trying to press that yarn down so it's less likely to fray and stuff like that. It took a little bit of time. See, I had to cut it right there. And now I'm bringing in that other yarn here. That's why it'll look slightly different. And basically, I was just overlapping it, over, under, and trying to press that down. Because when I was doing this, like I said, I snagged it there, and so I couldn't draw tie it together. So I'm just like, okay, I'll work with this, improvise, right? Improvise and overcome and just get this done. And do this the best that I can. So this is not gonna be perfect, at least in my eyes anyways, but I think I can get this done here. And as you can see here, it is coming together here nicely for what it is. I mean, this is actually a little bit more tricky than darning some socks or something like that, just because the nature of this material, the yarn and stuff like that, and frays and all that stuff, and it snags easily in comparison to thread, for example. Not bad. It was a little bit more tricky than I thought, but still looks a little bit better. Not perfect, but it'll function.
As our world changes, we can adapt too. Skill and knowledge get better with practice. Can't help everyone, but one can help someone.